So let's take a look. It says, a quadratic sequence with the general term Tn has the following properties. Term 11 is given to us as 125, and Tn minus 1 is equal to 3n minus 4. Determine the first term of the sequence. Okay, so the moment you see this quadratic sequence, you should know that there is a constant second difference. So if I have term 1, term 2, term 3, this is the constant, or the first difference. This is another first difference, but it is different, okay? So for example, if I had a first difference of 3, and then 5, and then 7, the second difference would be the constant, 2, 2, etc., okay? This question is a little bit iffy, okay? Because term 11 is cool. We've got a value for term 11. We have no other terms. This statement here, okay, I'm going to try and walk you through it. What does Tn minus 1 mean? Okay, so if I go to Tn, let's say, for example, I'm looking at term 10. Then I say term of n minus 1. That means that if n was 10, Tn minus 1 is term 9. So they're saying that the difference between these two terms is given to us by 3n minus 4. So what you need to remember with a quadratic, let's say I have a quadratic sequence of 1. And then, okay, let me actually just say the first term in a quadratic sequence, then the second term, then the third term, etc., etc., okay? The first differences always form an arithmetic sequence, okay? The first difference of a quadratic are always an arithmetic sequence. In this instance, they are given to us by that equation, 3n minus 4, okay? But what you need to remember is that those differences start over here, and then they carry on between the terms. So this constant difference, or this difference between term 2 and term 1, is going to be given by that arithmetic sequence starting at term 2. So 3 multiplied by 2 minus 4 is 6 minus 4, which is 2. Okay, so that is the first difference between term 2 and term 1. If I'm trying to find term 3 minus term 2, I say 3 times 3 minus 4, which is 9 minus 4, which is 5. Okay, so that is another difference. If I go to term 4 minus term 3, I'm going to get 3 multiplied by 4 minus 4, which is 12 minus 4, which is 8. Okay, so what I'm finding out here is that if I go from term 1 to term 2, I'm adding 2. From term 2 to term 3, I'm adding 5. From term 3 to term 4, I'm adding 8, and so on, okay? When we get to the end of the sequence, or what we're dealing with, okay, if I go from term 10 to term 11, okay, I'm going to have that first sequence. Term 11 minus term 10 is going to be 3 times 11 minus 4, which is 33 minus 4, which is 29. Okay, so that is that difference there. So if we go and analyze this sequence, guys, I hope you agree with me that if I start at term 1 and I add 2, I get to term 2. But if I start at term 1 and I add 2 and then I add 5, I get to term 3. So if I say from term 1 all the way to term 11, it is the same as saying term 1 plus term 2 minus term 1 plus term 3 minus term 2 plus all the way to term 11 minus term 10. Okay, so if I add all of the first differences to term 1, I should get to term 11. So, to write this as an equation, term 11 is equal to term 1 plus all of the differences between the terms. So, term 2 minus term 1 plus term 3 minus term 2 plus term 4 minus term 3 all the way to the difference between term 11 and term 10. Okay, and that will get me to term 11. The reason I'm doing this is we found the values of those differences. Term 11 was given to us as 125. We are trying to find term 1. Okay, we found that the difference between term 2 and term 1 was this 2. So it's going to be 2 plus 5 plus 8 plus all the way to that difference, which was 29. Okay, hopefully you guys see this. So now, we are trying to find term 1. I hope you see that this over here is the sum of that arithmetic sequence given to us by 3n minus 4 for 10 terms, because we are going from 2 all the way to 11. That is 10 terms. Okay, so if we look, 125, which was given to us as our 11th term, is equal to term 1 plus the sum to 10 terms of that arithmetic sequence. So if we substitute that in to our sum formula, we get term 1 plus, remember, it is n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1d. That is our SN formula. Okay, so remember, we are doing 10 terms. So we can say 10 over 2 into 2 times the first term, which is that arithmetic sequence, which is 2. Okay? So 2 into 2 plus n minus 1, which is 10 minus 1, which is 9, multiplied by the difference, which is 3. Okay? I hope you guys have seen that. The difference between these terms here is 3. Okay, so that difference there is 3. So if you substitute those all into that formula, you should get the answer. So 125 is equal to term 1 plus, let's simplify this. 10 over 2 is 5 into 2 multiplied by 2 is 4 plus 9 multiplied by 3 is 27. So we're going to get that term 1 is equal to 125 minus this bracket. So 5 times 4 plus 27 gives us 155, which means that term 1 sits at negative 30. Okay, so guys, I know that question was ugly. You need to remember that if you have a quadratic sequence, remember, first difference is going to be different for every term difference, okay? But the second difference is constant. So if they give you a general formula for the first difference, remember, first difference are always arithmetic for a quadratic sequence. So interpret the question, understand what they're saying and what they've given to you, and work through the question, and you should be fine.